So, good morning. Yeah, is I audible and how about the slide? Can you see the slide? Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. How slides? Can you see the slides?
Yes, sir.
So last class we were discussing about this network diagram. It's a logical representation of the activities, logical and sequential representation of the activities of a particular project. Okay, so that how the activities are supposed to be performed. That is a network diagram. Basically, in a network diagram, we have two important components. One is an activity, one is an arrow, and another one is this particular circle, or it can be used in any of the forms as like circular, square, rectangle, or oval shape. I generally prefer this circular shape. Most of the textbooks also use the same circle shape to represent this event. So basically, these two are the important components of this network diagram, and where generally circles they represent the events and arrows they represent the activity. This typical network diagram is called as activity on arrow. I have an activity on arrow here. This is an arrow, and activities are mentioned on the arrows. So this typical network diagram is called as an activity on arrow diagram. Here, we arrange all the activities of the particular project in a logical and in a sequential order. And then I think we started with a few of these definitions here. An event is an instantaneous point in a time of a project where it marks either the beginning or end of a particular activity. Okay, this is called as an event. And please remember, event doesn't consume any time or resources. If I'm starting this foundation, excavation of the foundation here in an example, then start the excavation. This is my first activity, so it indicates also the starting of the project. So starting the project is an event, whereas excavating the foundation is an activity. And this activity has to stop somewhere at the next event. And what is that event? Foundation is being excavated. Like this, we have to arrange activities and the events. Okay, I hope you got the difference between the activity and the event here. Activity is something what we are going to executing it, and activity consumes time and resources, whereas event it is the starting or end of a particular activity, and it doesn't consume any time or resources. Okay. Basically, there are three types of events: a tail event, head event, and a dual role event. If the event is before an activity, it is called as tail event like this. And if my event is the first event of that particular project, then this becomes an initial event. Okay. And if there are multiple activities emerging out of this particular tail event, it's called as bursting event. Similarly, head event, it is that particular event which exists at the head of this particular arrow. Okay, so this is a head event, and generally this is going to be at the end of the project. I will be having one event that is called as submission of the project. So that is called as end event. And meanwhile, somewhere in between the first and the end event, we will be having few of the events where many of the activities they merge together at one particular event, and that is called as a merging event. Okay, and few of the events they perform both the functions as being a tail event and then the head event. If you look at this 11th event, there is an activity A which is reaching to event 11, and there is an activity B which is coming out of this event. So this 11th event is both it is performing dual roles. It's performing dual roles. So this is called as a dual role event. Next, we'll discuss about interrelationship between the events. Events in a project, of course, events, they occur at definite time and in a particular sequence or in an order. Okay, and the order or sequence of these events can be categorized as a successor event and the predecessor event. So we will have another set of like type of events based on the interrelationships between the events. That is successor events and then predecessor events. So successor events, the events, the event or events that follow another event are called successor events to that particular event. Now, if I take an example of event 1, my event 1 is initial event because it is the starting of the project. Okay, and there are successor events to this event 1. What are they? The events which come after event 1, they are called as successor events to event 1. So I have 3 events here, 2, 3, 4, which are successor events to event 1. Okay, similarly, 2 has one successor event, that is called as 5. 3 has one successor event, that is 5. 4 has one successor event, that's called as 5. So I represented the same thing here. Events 2, 3, 4, events 2, 3, 4, and 5. All these events are successor to 1 because they are occurring after event 1. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are the successor events of, for event 1. And at the same time, your 2, 3, 4 are immediate successors to events 1. 2, 3, 4 are immediate successor events to the event 1. Why I am telling you this is, even event 5 is a successor event to 1, but event 5 is not immediate successor. Those events which come just after this particular event, they are called as immediate successors. Okay, so 2, 3, 4 are immediate successors of event 1. Now, as far as 5 is considered, 5 is an immediate successor for events 2, 3, 4. Event 5 is the immediate successor to event 2, 3, and 4. Okay, this is about successor events. In the same case, predecessor events. The events which occur before another event, they are called as predecessor events. Okay. Now, as far as event 1 is considered, previous to event 1, there are no predecessor events. But as far as 2, 3, 4, and 5 are considered, for these 4 events, event 1 is before these events. So, event 1 is called as a predecessor event here. Or else, I will start with event 5. Event 5 has 4 events as predecessor events. Which are they? 1, 2, 3, 4. Because they are occurring before the event 5. Okay. At the same time, please remember, events 2, 3, 4 are immediate predecessors to event 5. Events 2, 3, 4, they are called as immediate predecessors to event 5 because they are occurring just before this event. Okay, but event 1 is not immediate predecessor to event 5 because there is another event between the event 1 and the 5. Okay, but as far as event 1 is considered, your event 1 becomes immediate predecessor to events 2, 3, 4. Okay, event 1 is an immediate predecessor to events 2, 3, 4. So we need to understand this successor and predecessor relationship between the events so that we can draw the network diagram. Please remember, you have to draw the network diagram by understanding these relationships. Okay, the network will not be given to you. Instead, relationships will be given to you, and you have to draw the network diagram for the analysis as far as numericals are considered. So try to understand these relationships between the events and between the activities. Next terminology is activity. Activity means it's about a performance of a task which consumes both time and resources and has a definite beginning and end is called as an activity. Like excavating work here. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are events. And excavate foundation, it is a activity between the events 1 and 2. Similarly, shuttering work or fixed sideboards is an activity between the events 2 and 3. Similarly, concreting foundations is an activity between the events 3 and 4. Okay, anything we are going to execute it on the ground, they are called, or on the field, or even in the office, they are called as activities. Now we'll try to understand the interrelationship between the activities. Again, of course, depending upon the interdependency, activities can be categorized as, I'm trying to categorize these activities based on the interdependency as parallel activities and serial activities. Further, the serial activities can be categorized as preceding or predecessor activities and succeeding activities. Okay, coming to these parallel activities, the activities which can be started at the same time, they are called as parallel activities. Now in the sketch here, activity A is fix the electric fittings and activity B is fix the sanitary fittings. These works can be started simultaneously. Okay, so these are called as parallel activities. Activity A and B, they are called as parallel activities because they can be started from the same time. Similarly here, activity P and Q. Activity P is excavate the foundations and activity Q is concreting the foundations. Please remember here, my concreting has to be done only after excavation. So these are called as serial activities. Okay, so based on the interdependency, activities can be classified as a preceding or predecessor activity and then succeeding, activities can be called as parallel activities and then serial activities. And coming to the serial activities, it can still be categorized as preceding activity and succeeding activity. So parallel activities, those which are performed simultaneously and independently to each other. So here this one, these are called as parallel activities, sketch A. Similarly, serial activities, they can be performed one after the other in succession and these cannot be performed independently, they are dependent. Okay, we cannot perform them independently, so that's why they are supposed to be executed in a serial way. And again here, between P and Q, P is a preceding activity for activity Q. Similarly, Q is a succeeding activity for P. Okay, this is the relation again exists. P is predecessor to Q, whereas Q is successor to P. Okay, so this is a different classification as far as serial activities are considered. Now we will try to look at one typical network diagram here. There are 5 activities A, B, C, D, E. Okay, there are 5 activities A, B, C, D, E, and we will try to understand which are predecessor activities and which are successor activities here. Let us list all the activities A, B, C, D, E. For A, let us try to understand the predecessor activity. What do you mean by predecessor activity? Any activity which comes before that. Okay, so here in the network diagram, there are no activities before activity A. So there's a nil. Similarly, B, even it has no predecessor activity, nil. Now, as far as C is considered, it has a predecessor activity as A. Are you getting my point? Okay. Similarly, when it comes to D, your activity D has a predecessor as B. Okay. And when it comes to E, all the activities are predecessor activities. A, B, C, D. All the 4 activities, these 4 activities are predecessor activity. Now there is another thing to be understood here. Okay. See, for activity C, the immediate predecessor is A. For activity D, the immediate predecessor is B. And when it comes to activity E, what are the immediate predecessor activities? Just before that. Answer is there in the slide,
C and D.
right? So for activity E, your C and D are the immediate predecessors. Okay, and when it comes to D, D has B as a predecessor and C has A as a predecessor. Now please remember, I have marked a question, I have written something here, redundancy in activities. Okay, as far as relationships between the activities are considered, when I say redundancy, I have written too many activities. Let us take an example for a construction of a building or some apartment. It will be having around hundreds of activities, hundreds to thousands of activities. Okay, then if I go for the last activity, in most cases the previous all 99 activities are going to be predecessor activities. But I cannot say all 99 as predecessor because there is a redundancy. What I have to say is I am supposed to list only immediate predecessor activities. Okay, so for E, henceforth I will take only C and D as the predecessor activity. A and B are there, but they are again predecessors to C and D. Okay, so I will be going only one level back to list my predecessor activity. That's why redundancy. It's a redundancy. I cannot list everything. Okay, a redundant structure is something what we cannot determine it. In the same way here, okay, there will be so many other activities which are called as predecessor, but I am going to list only immediate predecessors which are marked as with a star here. Similarly, we try to understand about the successor events. For activity A, what are the successor events? It is C and E. Okay. For after activity A, I have activity C and E. I cannot list D because D is not related to A here. Okay. For activity A, the successor event activities are C and E. Similarly, for activity B, the successor events are D and E. Okay. Similarly, for C, the successor activity is E. For D, successor activity is E. And as far as E is considered, E is the last activity, so it has no further successor activity. So we need to understand this logic of predecessor and successor dependency relationships between these activities. Even here also, we will be listing only immediate successors. Henceforth, we don't give you relation as far as other successors. We will be dealing with only immediate successors. Okay, even for predecessors, we will deal with only immediate predecessor relationships. It is quite simple when you have only 5 activities. Okay, think of when you have 20 or 25 activities. Again, I am giving you very simple number, or otherwise your number of activities in a project will be 1000 or something else. Okay, that case it becomes very difficult to understand the interdependencies. So we need to understand it only through immediate predecessor or immediate successor. And then again we will go back to this network. What is the meaning of network is it's a flow diagrammatic representation of a work plan showing the activities step by step leading to the established goal. And it depicts the interdependence between the various activities like concurrent or in series. Concurrent means parallel activities. How can we represent the activities or any events in a project with a network representation? Is we have basically 2 types of representation of activities. One is activity on arrow. This is very important because further we will deal only with the activity on arrow cases. Okay. So here I am representing activities on arrow. So I have an event 1 here and I have an event 2. By definition, this becomes a tail event and this becomes a head event. And also this becomes a preceding event for event 2 and this becomes a succeeding event for event 1. So from event 1 to event 1, my activity is pour the concrete, and how many days it takes is, anything written down the arrow represents the duration of the particular activity. Please remember, anything written down the activity represents duration of that particular activity. So pour the concrete takes 2 days. This is how we represent the activity on the arrow. Okay, the same example I am just extending it by showing 4 activities here. So I have 4 activities, so there are 4 events. Then my activity 1 to 2 is fix the shuttering, that is activity A. Okay, and what is the duration? It is 3 units. It is not mentioned whether days or in weeks, so I am just calling it as units here. Okay, activity 1 to 2, that is called as activity A, that is fixed shuttering, is for 3 units. Similarly, activity B is between 1 to 3, which is called as procurement of aggregates and the cement, and it requires 2 units of time. Then activity C, it is fixing the reinforcement. It is between 2 to 3 and it requires 2 units of time. And the last activity is between 3 to 4 event. The activity is D, it's called as concreting the slab work and it takes 1 unit of time. So this is how we represent activities on the arrow, and this is very important method because our further discussions are based on activity on arrow. There is another way of representing this activity. It is called as activity on nodes. N stands for nodes. Okay, so these circles are nothing but the nodes, and here we represent our activities. Okay, so we don't represent anything on the arrows here. Arrows will only guide you as a interdependencies, but activities are being represented on the nodes. But remember, this is not so popular because there are some difficulties with understanding this technique and proceeding in further calculation. So generally, we don't prefer this type of representation of network. Okay, so we generally go with activity on arrow method. Okay, next, this will be your assignment, or else just a typical review. It is some sort of a review question where I am asking you to try to get the differences between activity on arrow and activity on a node method. Okay, this you have to do it. Activity on arrow and activity on a node. What all the work I am giving you, see, I remember those things. I have asked you to solve the typical numerical problem on a bar chart. I still remember that. Okay, for all those submissions, I will give you one. I will share you a Google form. There you need to submit those things. On what day I don't know. Whenever I am free, I will share the Google form and I will ask you to submit those assignments. So please keep it ready. Please keep those active assignments ready and you can submit it on any time which is asked. Okay, so your assignment is try to understand the differences between activity on arrow and activity on the node. Now, further our discussions are always based on activity on arrow. Okay. So we'll try to understand some logics in the network development. We'll try to understand some logics in the network developments here. Like this is a sequential activities. Circles are events and arrows are activities. As I told you, I am discussing on activity on arrow only. Okay. Now, what is this interpretation? What could be the interpretation of this typical network is? Your activity C cannot start before the activity B is completed. That is one thing. Or else we can also say like activity C follows activity B. Activity C follows activity B means once activity B is complete, then my activity C has to start. Or else activity B precedes activity C. In the sense, activity B is preceding activity for activity C. Okay, all this means this is an interpretation for this typical sequential arrangement. So I have a diverging arrangement of activities here. Okay, how we can interpret this is, please remember, activities D and E cannot start before activity C is complete. However, once activity C is completed, both activities D and E can start simultaneously. So activity D and E, they are parallel activities. They can be started simultaneously, but only when your activity C is completed. Okay, so this is an interpretation, or else I can also say D and E are immediate successors for activity C, or else in other terms, what I can say as activity C is an immediate predecessor to both the activities D and E. It's the same thing. Okay, try to understand these logics. If you can understand this, then only you can draw the network diagram. Next, we'll go with this converging example. Here, what we can interpret it as activity C cannot start before the activities A and B are completed. This is an interpretation of this activity C. Or else I can also put it in another words as activity C is the only immediate successor to activities A and B. Okay, or else I can also put it in this way as activity A and B are immediate predecessors to activity C. Okay, it all means one thing in this way. Okay, then there is another thing here. Activity C follows B. Activity C is being followed by activity B here. Okay, and activity E follows activity D. However, both activity chains are independent of each other. They are not dependent. Okay, they are independent. It means the set of these activities they run parallelly. They run parallelly. That is how I need to interpret it as far as such set of activities are considered. Next, another thing to be understood while drawing this network diagram is, please try to remember this as far as possible, only we should use straight arrows. We should not use the curved arrows. The representation of a network diagram in this way is wrong. Okay, try to represent it in this way so that still my network diagram is meaningful. It gives you the same meaning. Okay, the same thing here, your activity D is followed by activity B and C. The same thing I am representing here with the straight arrows. And please remember, don't use the curved arrows. You should only use straight arrows for the representation. Your network diagram shall be aesthetic, shall be appealing to the viewer. Okay. Next, another logic to be understood here is if there are any activities which are crossing while drawing the network diagram, if they are crossing, I cannot show the intersection. Okay, if I show it with the intersection, then that is a wrongful indication of the activities. It means those activities are meeting. It is not so. Instead, I need to show it as a bridging here. Okay, if these two arrows are intersecting while drawing the network diagram, mark either of this with a, like generally it's like a home shape, what we represent for resistance in the same way here. I need to show it in this way and it's called as bridging. Okay, I need to bridge these activities in this way. This is the correct representation. There is another activity which is called as a dummy activity. Like most of you sit in the class in the dumbest way. Okay, the same way here. Dummy activity, they don't do anything. They are there in the class, but they don't. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
There was a network issue. How about slide? Can you see the slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh, from what slide we lost our connection? How about this? Did we discuss? I discussed this, but I don't know if it has reached you or not.
Yes, sir. This was
This,
still
Yes, sir.
this is fine. And how about this?
Yes,
finished,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
Dummy activities.
This is also fine.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Bridging the activity.
Sir, this also.
This one is completed, sir.
This one is also completed. So dummy activity. Okay. So I'll go with the slide here. I have some set of activities. There is an industry which is performing some production with some equipment, and they are planning to purchase a new equipment. Okay. So in that case, there are some activities which are being listed. Set one activities are A and B. A stands for await in a delivery of a new machine. They have ordered for a new machine, and the machine is yet to reach the company. Once it reaches the company, they need to install this new machine. But this is being a production industry, they cannot stop the work till the new machine reaches. They are continuing with the old one. Okay. Once the new machine comes, then what do? They remove the existing machine, and then they're supposed to dispose of this existing machine. Okay. So these same set of activities are being shown in a network diagram here. First activity A and B. I'm supposed to wait for the delivery. Once I get the delivery of the machine, I'm supposed to install my new machine. At the same time, when I am supposed to remove my existing machine is only when I get only when I get the new machine in the organization. When I get my new machine in the organization, then I can definitely, once that is being reached, parallelly I can perform as a removing of this existing machine. Then if that is being installed, then I will be going for disposing of this existing machine. So now the relation between these 2 and 5 events, it is supposed to be joined by a dummy activity. This is called as dummy. Dummy activity consumes no resources and it consumes no time. Only thing is it enhances the grammatical representation. It enhances some representation quality of the network diagram. Okay, I'm taking some civil engineering example also for this, I will tell you. But you need to understand that dummy consumes no time and resources, but we have to introduce it into a network diagram so that my logical or sequential arrangement of activities can be done smoothly. For that, we will be going with the dummy activities. So this is a dummy activity between the events 2 and 5. And this activity will have no time because it doesn't consume time. So there won't be any mentioning of the timing below the arrow here, and dummy activity is always being represented with a dotted line. A dummy is a type of operation in the network which neither requires any time nor any resources, but is merely a device to identify a dependence among the operations. Okay. Okay. Hmm? Current Wi-Fi and hotspot चलन नहीं है नेटवर्क को डिस्कनेक्ट कर हॉटस्पॉट है ಈಗೀಗ ನೋಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಅದನ್ನು and it's a connecting link for control purposes or for maintaining the uniqueness of an activity. Okay, it is generally used for connecting some activities where I cannot show it as an executing execution process on the sheet, but it shows you interrelationship between the activities in a logical way. That is called as a dummy activity. Let me take an example here. Say it is about erecting the beams in a bridge work. So bridge work, I'm supposed to, what I'm supposed to go with is I'm supposed to construct a concrete pier. Once my concrete pier work is done, I may after the columns, pier is nothing but a column. Once I construct the pier, then I have to keep my beam there, erection of the beam. Okay, but our beams here, they are pre-stressed beam. In the sense, my beams are being cast somewhere that is precast, and then they are being kept on a place using a crane. Okay, so now my relation, if I try to show it in the network diagram, it is something of like this. Construction of a concrete pier and construction of a precast beam. Precast is, it is being cast somewhere in a site, in an office, not exactly at the position like RCC work. In RCC, what we do, we do the shuttering, we keep the steel, and then we pour the concrete. But in a precast, we completely cast the steel somewhere, then we bring it, then we just fix it using nuts and bolts. That is precast. So what we can do is, we can concrete the pier on the site. At the same time, I can start constructing my beam as a precast somewhere. So these two works can be done parallelly here. Okay. Once I complete this, these two are completed. I'm supposed to erect the beam. But if I don't show the dummy activity, then what will happen is I will have two ends. This precast beam is nowhere related to erection of the beams here. If there is no dummy activity, it means if this doesn't exist, then I don't get any connection between a precast beam and then the erection of the beam. Okay, please remember, in a network diagram, we cannot have two ends. Try to remember this. We can have only one end and start. Okay, so either at the start I should have only one node, and at the end I should have only one node. If I don't introduce a dummy activity, then I end up with two nodes at the end. That is a wrong representation of the network. So, and this wrong representation of a network can be overcome by showing a dummy activity which joins 2 and 3. So that it gives me, by looking at this, I can understand that to erect my beams on the site for a construction of a bridge, both my concrete pier work and precast beam work, they have to complete. If they are complete, only then I can start with the erection of the beams. Okay, this is an advantage of a dummy activity. This is an use. And the particular, I think I have shown it in the next sketch. Why we have to introduce the dummy activity is, they are being introduced for two purposes. One is for a grammatical purpose and another one is for logical purpose. Okay, if I cannot show two activities from the two nodes as A and B, this is an ambiguous representation, I cannot show it. Okay, or otherwise I can show it in this way. Draw the two activities and somewhere you show the dummy relation. This is a grammatically correct representation of a network diagram. So dummy activity is helpful in grammatical representation of a network diagram. And at the same time, in few cases, it's also helpful for a logical representation of a grammatical diagram. Say, my activity Q and activity R, both are having predecessor activity as P. Can you look at this, the illogical representation? There is only one activity which is being shown with a continuous line as P. This cannot be, we cannot draw a network diagram like this. Okay, either those activities are supposed to be discrete, separate, but showing the same activity twice in a network diagram is a wrong representation. Instead, what I can do is, I can end my activity somewhere here as an event, and join the further events with a dummy activity. So this becomes a logical representation. You will understand this when you start drawing these networks. Okay, we'll go for that also. Anyhow, you have numericals to be solved because CPM and PERT he clearly mentions in your syllabus. So you need to draw these network diagrams that we will discuss further. Okay, so please remember, I cannot show the same activity twice in a network diagram. And another thing is, there will be only one start and one end in the network diagram. Okay, for this purpose, somewhere we have to use dummy activity which consumes no time and no resources. So there are certain rules to be followed. I think these rules we will discuss in the next class, and please type your reversion for the attendance in the chat box. Okay? Rules for the development of this network diagram we will discuss in the next class.